Yeah, I mean, I understand exactly where you're coming from, Daijiro. This isn't the time. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we're back to another episode of Voltace 5. We watched episodes 17 and 18 last time. Of course, we do have a board, and with the board comes the board changelog. We added General... For some reason, I keep wanting to pronounce his name as Denge, even though it starts with an A. It's basically danger without an R. So, Danger, maybe? General Danger. Connected him to Professor Go with a green line, and to Emperor Sambojil with a red line. And then, of course, I marked him as dead. I don't know. There's a lot of mispronunciation going on in this show for me that I, like, again, I want to say he's General Denge. And the Emperor, I keep wanting to say Emperor Zamboji, which is actually Zambojil, so I apologize ahead of time for any mistakes that I make, knowing that I will be making them unintentionally. Of course, I've got notes, though. Let's talk about Professor Sakunji for a moment. He's an asshole. I don't care if his training paid off at the end of the episode. It doesn't change everything leading up to it. He laughs at the team's failings. He tells them he doesn't have to tell them why he says to do things. He suggests that if they die, it's their fault for being careless. Again, despite the fact that he puts them into deadly situations without warning to begin with. It's one thing to have to try and survive against the threat the Bowasnians send your way, but the person responsible for leading you should not also be a source of that threat. He's essentially an abusive dad, hitting you when he's angry and comforting you when he thinks he might have gone too far. On a bit of a side note, he goes off on this tangent about removing emotions and being like machines, willing to die without a thought. I think in a normal show, this would have been a primary focus. What would the point of saving Earth be if we lose our humanity? Even Heinel and gang think we are incapable of love, and now Professor Sakunji wants us to lose all of our emotions and become mindless piloting machines. There's gotta be a message there that I feel like it's our loss for not having addressed. Something else episode 17 addresses is the fact that all the team's training has had nothing to do with what they are expected to accomplish. We saw in the first episode that they were training for ground level combat without ever being introduced to the Voltace machines for an entire year. It wasn't until that Hamaguchi started having them train against that fake beast machine we only saw in one episode. So, on one hand, it's good that the team was getting time in to improve their skills. I just wish it would have been under better conditions. Consider things from Hiyoshi's perspective. His childhood has been taken away from him, and he's dedicated his life to saving the Earth. Except that he really is just a kid. And now the new professor is essentially torturing him because his body can't keep up with the older members of the team. He's sacrificed a lot to be here, but not even of his own choice, as he was forced into this life. Speaking of Hiyoshi and what Sakunji put him through in the accelerator, I recently read an article from an associate professor of biomechanical engineering and mechanics about the difference in effects on adults versus children when it comes to expressions of G-force. Which is to say, kids are not mini adults when it comes to brain injury. It takes about half the G's it takes to cause a concussion in an adult to cause one in a child. To be clear, child is used here to mean from 9 to 14. I believe Hiyoshi is around 10, so this applies. On the dial that Tsukunji is using, it goes from 0 to 30 Gs, and he cranks it all the way up to 30 before pressing the start button again and activating rockets to, I don't know, double it. Fighter pilots can experience accelerations of 8 Gs for brief periods of time. 60 Gs is essentially a 30-mile-per-hour car crash. Tsukunji is pushing Hiyoshi into extremely deadly territory that Hiyoshi is thankfully only passed out twice from. But that could still lead to lasting damage. It's not just passing out, that could be causing serious brain damage, and Tsukunji does not care. I really enjoy the fact that they included the Voltes 5 coming together on Jangle's screen, implying that they really do watch it happening in real time, and it's not just some sort of magical girl transformation scene happening outside of real time. When Tsukunji removes all the non-vital stuff from their rooms to remove distractions from the mission, we see Hiyoshi's stuff, but I actually kind of was I was actually kind of surprised that Taco wasn't in it. In fact, Taco wasn't present the entire episode. I don't know if Tsukunji recognizes the value Taco has and didn't chuck him in with everything else, or the episode just forgot that he exists. I still don't think their plan to go to Oka would have worked out. I get the sentiment, but the way he acted when Megumi tried to save him before, I think he would have gotten really pissed and ordered them back to Big Falcon, regardless of what Tsukunji was doing. Professor Go really lied to these people about what Earth was like. No discrimination, no slavery. When and where? Discrimination all over the place. I imagine once people find out you're from the alien race that not only keeps attacking them, but has killed millions of people, regardless of the fact that you are a refugees of slaves of that race, people will go nuts. Slavery still exists in the modern time as well, as much as people don't like to see it or think about it. Humans are not great. They call it Professor Go's warp travel, but conceivably the Boaznians must have had warp travel of their own beforehand. They are a galaxy-invading empire from 14,000 light years away. Traveling relativistically, sorry, the word just does not getting past my tongue. Traveling relativistically, there would be no way to maintain an empire, let alone get to anyone you'd want to conquer. We also know Professor Go was concerned about the threat of their invasion before the start of the first episode. And I can't imagine he was scared they would invade hundreds of thousands of years from now. So, it doesn't seem likely that he went to their planet, they got his warp drive, and then used it to invade, as he would never have been concerned about them in the first place if they didn't have the means to get here. What is more likely taking place is that Professor Go's warp drive is just better than the existing drives the Boaznians have. We already knew that in Boaznian society, horns were an important status symbol. The sword-fighting guy from the start of the series was given horns as a sign of respect towards their skill and their sacrifice for having put their brain into a beast machine. Now, having General Denge, sorry, I keep saying Denge, having General Danga break off his horns in a sign of protest against the treatment of hornless Boaznians is itself a message because we established this earlier. And my final note here, I appreciate that after being fooled by at least 2 father fake-outs, the Voltes team just decides to treat this version of their dad as another fake. It makes sense. It's what I said I would expect to happen. It just happens to be the real deal this time, but you can't take that chance. It's screwed you over every time up till now. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I guess the thing to do now is to go ahead and hop on in and see what happens this time. Again, as always, I'm hoping for more Boaznian politics, more Heinel figuring stuff out scenes. This is going to sound horrible for fans of Voltace 5, I'm sure. Less Voltace 5 combat, actually. I want everything around Voltace 5, not maybe specifically Voltace 5 itself. The same thing I say about Gundam all the time, right? I could go for a Gundam show that deals with the politics that goes on in the Gundam world, maybe with no Gundam in it. Anyway, let's hop on in and see what happens.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
I mean, not for nothing, but I think it speaks well to your world building when I'm interested more in the world you've built than the thing you're trying to sell toys for. Right? Like, I want to deal with Ippei finding out that Hamaguchi was possibly his paternal grandfather and the loss therein. Or, Heinel dealing with Zul's betrayal. Maybe like a recording of Zul saying how he doesn't like Heinel for being too young, for having gotten his position. Maybe more elements of the fact that the Emperor is working against Heinel to get Heinel killed in action. The beast machines just are never important enough to the overall storyline to be more interested in watching the fight. Also, not for nothing, they do the same thing every fight. I guess if you're into Sentai or Power Rangers, things like that, you just become accustomed to it. But I really just enjoy the world building now. That almost didn't look like Ippei. Are we finally going to get a Daijiro episode? I've been waiting for one. I mean, not for nothing, but that explosion should have taken out the target too. Rescue teams, though. I mean, unconfirmed also just means nothing. It's like, he's not here versus we have no idea. Again, also having Azul be the one doing this in your mind's eye. So don't sleep in your uniform. Even Megumi changed into her uniform. Is that why Megumi was late that one time?
だゴーシかスカールーク発見の報告は
大二郎君、これで8回目だぞ。
しかし
地球防衛軍から連絡があればすぐ君に知らせてあげるから。
バッテン報告があればすぐ出撃してお父さんを探したかとです。じっとしておられんでごわす。
気持ちはわかるがね。
おいどん朝までいや連絡があるまでここで待たせていただきます。
I mean, that doesn't change the frequency of any news coming. Honestly, I don't know how they don't know where the Bosnian base is, considering that giant skull ship is constantly flying back and forth. Unless it's a matter of they have multiple bases.
どうかな力を盗み心地は。
ボアザン帝国の地球侵略基地にしては手が込んでいる。
Send Dexter my regards.
あのデクの棒にこんな基地ができるものかい。これは私の基地だ。
何？お前の基地？
そうよ。お前を生かしてここに連れてきたのは全て私の指図だ。
Well, you and all the guards.
その私に助けられたんだぞ、ゴーケン太郎。この基地でボルテス5を叩き潰すロボットを作ってもらうためにな。
そんな仕事を私がやると思っているのか？
やるもやらないもない。協力してもらう。
Oh, mind control. Probably gonna go with mind control.
お前の記憶を電気的に拾い出すことができるとしたら断りもできまい。
卑怯な。
お前の頭の中からボルテスの秘密
Wow, okay, not even mind control. Just sucking out your intelligence.
そんなことはさせん。記憶抽出をします。このままではボルテス5の秘密が盗まれてしまう。
Because that's a thing people do. Well, thankfully, he's also learned the Sharing gun when we weren't watching. I guess when he was a slave on Bosnia, or whatever the name of their planet was, he became a Buddhist monk. Again, the guards know about your secret base. More trouble or less trouble than the fact you tried to get him assassinated once.
お父さんの捜索をやめるなんてもっと続けてたもんし。やめろ大二郎、落ち着け。アンさんはお父さんが見つからんでも。
文化大二郎、捜索は打ち切ったがゴー君を諦めるとは言っておらん。
でも博士、お父さんはもう。
敵がゴー君を連れ去ったからには利用したいと思っているのだ。殺すはずはない。
そげんこと気休めたい。
気休めか。
At least it is a somewhat Daijiro-centric episode. I just wish he had gotten better episodes before this, because he's the only one we really haven't focused up on that much.
博士の言う通りだ。お父さんは生きているよ。な、信じよう。いつか会えるって。
アンさんの責任だい。あん時すぐお父さんを追ってればお父さんを救出できたまい。
Who will put that down? The guy who controls the Voltes 5. Oh, not even realizing what you're doing, and you're gonna keep going. Okay, cool.
あの時他に何ができたミスタイあんさんがぼんやりしていたミスタイ大二郎あんさんが意気地なしやからお兄ちゃんスカルークの着陸した地点が分かったんだよ分かったんだよ本当かあ防衛軍に
Hey, but Taco's back. Professor didn't get rid of Taco.
どこだ北緯18度東経177度付近でスカルークが低空で飛んでいるのをその時刻に見たんだと北緯18度東経177度ファルコンから10分できるところだその付近へ着陸したに違いないチェイしていけ敵の重視が東京へ向かってくる重視が直ちにボルテスチームを出撃だ
I mean, technically, this is the more important thing. This is your mandate.
どうした早く出撃せんかこれを見てたもんせなんだとこのお守りの中にはこれがおいどんの宝が入っておる宝だと
Yeah, I don't know. It's creepy. How was your mother keeping your dad's hair?
そうでごわすお父さんの形見でごわすおいどんはお父さんは死んだもんと諦めちょり申したそれがどうしたという
By the way, the city's in danger right now.
お父さんが死んだもんだと諦めちょり申したそれが本当に生きとったとおいどんは髪の毛だけではなく本当のお父さんを抱きしめたが
The city is on fire.
いや戦うまい戦うバッテンお父さんはこの近くにいるばいあんたるな何が髪の毛だお前の仕事は
Yeah, I mean, I understand exactly where you're coming from, Daijiro. This isn't the time. Yeah, this is why it sucks that Daijiro gets this episode to have his focus. When he's been the responsible one of the group the entire time, I feel like. Though that might be a product of him not getting focus.
お父さんがおいどんを呼んどる大二郎お父さん今行きます大二郎
You should really have your imaginary father figure in the sky telling you what to do and not calling for help.
俺はお前を裏切り者にしたくない大二郎目を覚ませ
Okay, he didn't shoot him. He's trying to blast him back to his senses. I can appreciate that. You let him be. You're not going to be able to defeat a beast machine without vaulting in. Ugh. I mean, it's not horrible. I've ripped out fingernails before. It'd be painful for a while, but it's not the worst thing. Huh. I guess that makes me a little bit immune to that sort of torture, huh? Actually, ripping your fingernails out, not as bad as having stuff shoved into your fingernails. Weirdly. I appreciate Taco's opinion from the outsider perspective. Also, Daijiro's Volte's machine wouldn't be able to take on the skull ship by itself.
やっぱり
Why didn't you fire one of your tow rockets at it when you had the chance?
飛んで火にいる夏の虫だな
Yeah, unfortunately, we know Daijiro is a close range fighter, so he doesn't have any real skills to handle this.
よし作戦を開始する
I'm really surprised that the professor isn't screaming at them over the comms about Daijiro going away. I half expected Professor Go to anticipate the reverse happening, that they would use a clone or a robot version of his sons against him.
大きくなって父さんお父さんもう腹三倍
Meanwhile, elsewhere,
島があるだけです。
来たぞ
you'd think that if they cared so much, they would have just taken the vault machine and gone somewhere with it, rather than just locking up Daijiro. Sucks to suck, I guess.
ウォルテンとの戦いが始まったぞお父さん今だ脱出できればいいそうかお父さんおいどんがおんぶしますしかし大事ろさ
Yeah, what was the note of numbers you were writing in your own blood? Because, like, would he even have the location of Heinel's base or anything?
ゴー博士は殺すな小僧をやるんだお父さん大二郎の棒術でなんとか結露場開いてみせますはあ
That was a human face. The reptile outfit is fake. Was that Heinel's drilling machine? It looks like the one that they found from the other base that Heinel popped out of. I feel like Zool is going to have some explaining to do the next time he sees the rest of the gang. At least his face really does express worry and concern. Yeah, I guess there's not really a lot they can do about getting their dad back from this one, because the Volta's machine can't go underground, right? But you'd figure one of them would be able to. Because they all seem to have their specialties, one's like underwater. Yeah, wouldn't Daijiro's be the one best specialized to go underground? Because it feels like it's an all-terrain vehicle. It really feels like a lot of them are only partially designed to be able to fly, because they all need to form together in the air. Also, how does Megumi's cockpit split in half and not have her completely open to the air in the middle? So why is it Kenichi is the only one that screams Voltace 5 at the end?
このガトリングミサイル超電磁ストリング
I still hate the top, by the way. The top is my most hated of their weapons.
朝ナンバしとるかこんなことじゃお父さんも救い出せんばい
Well, maybe Kenichi would be better if you didn't call him a failure and a coward all early in the episode. I mean, by default, you should always start with the Sword of Heaven. Because if the Sword of Heaven doesn't work, you got nothing. Maybe the drill thing. Oh, got my own Sword of Heaven. You know, it also kind of feels like if they could design a beast machine that you could not do a V-slice into, the Voltace machine would instantly be defeated.
お父さんの囚われていた島が
ようやく父をその手に抱きしめたと思ったのもつかの間、また父はどこかへ連れ去られてしまった。父の残していった血染めの文字は一体何を意味しているのか。何を
Yeah, don't smudge it up. That's fresh blood. Well, that was clearly an L. So longitude and latitude. Yeah, I guess the thing that we're going to be focusing on now is finding Professor Go. Now that we're done the threat of faking Professor Go. But that is the arc of the Voltace 5 team, not very specifically the arc of the show. Because remember, we can still go back to Heinel and whatever's going on in his particular arc. Like, I still want to find out there's more to Catherine than meets the eye, because I still feel like there's more to her character than has been expressed. Unfortunately, she's gotten less development now than I think everybody. She only had one attempt that she said, oh, I'll create a beast machine better than the rest. Zool has gotten a ton of them. Jangle has gotten a ton of them. Heinel has gotten some development episodes. Catherine's gotten nothing but that one. Right now, Daijiro has gotten more screen development than she has.
捕らえられた某博士の居所を示す低サイクル脈動波とは何か。捜索に向かったボルテスチームを重視ゾルゲルの罠が待ち受ける。父と剣士たちが出会う日はいつか。次回ボルテス5血で書いた数字の謎にご期待ください。
Okay, it's a knight that apparently regenerates super quickly. And apparently they're getting attacked from an underwater thing as well at the same time. My concern, as I frequently state, is that I really am in it for more of the Bosnian political stuff and Voltes 5 team development stuff, right? And literally all they showed on the next time on was just Voltes 5 combat scenes. And I'm sorry to say, guys, the Voltes 5 combat stuff is literally, for me, the least interesting of all the Voltes 5 stuff. Because again, I've said this before, I'm really engaged in the world building that they're doing, and I want to see more world building. And the combat actually just takes away from the world building. Like, I need the combat to be more impactful, more of a reason for it to happen. Like, when they attacked the base and the mother had to sacrifice himself to make sure that the kids could get away. That was something. When the Beast Machine attacks Hiyoshi, when Hiyoshi's off doing his boat thing, Hiyoshi's put at threat. We actually see civilians having to be evacuated. Some people die. There's a thing. I mean, the World Summit thing was less so, because, like, that was just to show us that the world's infighting and to ham-fistedly bring it back together due to a parking lot speech given by Oka, but even then it was something. Some of these fights are just like, oh, we send out a beast machine. What's the plan? No plan really. Just destroy stuff. Destroy stuff and see how that works. Right? What's the point in that? What's the end goal there? Sorry, I know it's going to fall short for people who are more familiar with Super Sentai than Power Rangers, but again, I grew up on Power Rangers. Even in the goofiest era of Power Rangers, which was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, when Rita sent a monster to the city, it was because she had some other plan, right? Like, I'm going to send the monster so that they can do this stupid-ass thing, steal this item, whatever. And the giant mega fight at the end that comes from making the monster grow super big and bringing out the Megazords was an aspect of defeating that plan. What was the plan this episode? Why did that thing go to attack the city? Was it just to attack the city? Isn't Heinel and gang trying to defeat the Voltes 5 machine so that they can then run Ripshot over the rest of the Earth? How does attacking the city further that goal? I present to you, I don't think it does, which is why I'm not interested in that fight, other than an aspect of Daijiro cannot chase his father. Now, it's interesting in that aspect, but I know, and I can't separate my mind from the concept that it is only there for that reason and not for an intelligent reason on the behalf of the bad guys. And that's an element of Voltes 5 coming off partially on the cartoonish side. The bad guys do bad things because they're bad guys, right? I need them to be more well thought out, and sometimes they are. And that's what I'm really looking forward to. The episodes where they are well thought out. Anyway, I think that's it for this episode from me. Again, I do record these 2 episodes back to back, so of course there won't be any notes or board or anything like that next time, but I will have the notes 2 episodes apiece. So until then, I have been Theta, this has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?